The sun had long dipped below the horizon, casting the small bedroom in an eerie twilight. 8-year-old Lily lay in her bed, clutching her stuffed bunny, Mr. Floppy. Shadows danced across the walls as the trees outside rustled in the night breeze. The only source of illumination came from the soft glow of her nightlight. Lily's parents had kissed her goodnight and closed the door, leaving it slightly ajar, just as they always did. "There's nothing to be afraid of, sweetie," her mother had reassured her. "Monsters aren't real." But Lily wasn't so sure. She had heard the whispers at school, the hushed tales of a mysterious closet that resided in the basement of their old house. It had been there for as long as anyone could remember, an ominous relic of the past. Kids said it was haunted, that something terrible lived inside. Of course, Lily was curious, but she was also terrified. One night, as the wind howled outside and the house creaked and groaned, Lily couldn't ignore her curiosity any longer. She had to know the truth about the closet. She slowly climbed out of her bed, Mr. Floppy still clutched tightly in one hand, and tiptoed out of her room. The journey to the basement was a treacherous one, filled with squeaky stairs and flickering lights. Each step seemed louder than the last, echoing through the empty house. Goosebumps prickled Lily's arms as she descended into the darkness. The basement was damp and smelled of old books and mildew. The air was heavy, as if it held 1,000 secrets. Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she reached the bottom of the stairs. The closet loomed in the corner, a towering wooden monstrosity. She swallowed hard and approached it, her tiny hand trembling as she grasped the doorknob. With a slow creaking sound, the door swung open, revealing a pitch-black void. Lily's nightlight seemed to pale in comparison to the darkness that emanated from within. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The door closed behind her with a soft click, leaving her in total darkness. Panic welled up inside her, and she fumbled for the doorknob, but it was gone. She was trapped. Lily's heart raced as she reached for her stuffed bunny. She squeezed Mr. Floppy tightly, finding some comfort in its softness. Then, from the depths of the closet, she heard a faint whisper, like a gentle breeze rustling through leaves. "Who's there?" Lily whispered, her voice barely audibly. The whisper grew louder, more distinct. "Lily, Lily." Terror gripped her, but she couldn't move. She had to know who was in there with her. "Lily, come closer." Against her better judgment, Lily took a step forward, her small feet padding softly on the cold basement floor. The whisper seemed to come from just beyond her reach. And then, from the inky darkness, a pair of glowing yellow eyes emerged. They were large and menacing, fixed on Lily. She gasped and stumbled backward, nearly tripping over her own feet. The voice grew stronger, more malevolent. "Lily, I've been waiting for you." Lily's tears streamed down her face as she clutched Mr. Floppy even tighter. She wanted to scream, to call for her parents, but her voice had abandoned her. The creature's eyes drew closer, and Lily could now make out its shadowy form. It was tall, gaunt, and covered in tattered rags. Its long, bony fingers reached out for her, inching closer and closer. Just as the creature's icy fingers brushed against her cheek, a blinding light burst forth from the closet. Lily shielded her eyes with her arm, her heart pounding in her chest. When she dared to look again, the closet was empty, and the door stood ajar. Tears still streaming down her face, Lily stumbled out of the closet and into her basement. The doorknob had returned, and she turned it frantically, bursting into the safety of the dimly lit hallway. She ran up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time, until she was back in her room. Her parents found her there, shaking and sobbing, with Mr. Floppy clutched to her chest. They held her close, soothing her fears with gentle words and warm embraces. "It's okay, sweetheart," her mother whispered. "There are no monsters, just bad dreams." But Lily knew the truth. She had ventured into the mysterious closet, and she had seen the creature that dwelled within. It was real, and it was waiting. And as she lay in her bed, the closet's faint whisper echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder that some nightmares were all too real. From that night on, Lily kept her bedroom door tightly closed, and she never ventured into the basement again. The closet remained a forbidden, haunting secret, a reminder that sometimes the things we fear most are the ones that lurk just beyond the darkness. In the quiet town of Ravenswood, nestled beneath a canopy of ancient oaks, a little girl named Emily lived in a charming ivy-covered cottage. She was a curious child with an insatiable appetite for adventure. But there was one place she had been warned never to explore: the old dusty closet in the attic. Emily's parents had always been strangely adamant about keeping that closet locked and the key hidden away. Emily couldn't understand why. It was just a closet after all. On a stormy night, as lightning flashed and thunder rattled the windows, her curiosity got the better of her. With her parents downstairs, lost in their own world of hushed conversations, Emily crept up to the attic. She held the key she had discovered hidden in the kitchen cabinet, and it felt heavy in her hand. The attic was dark, save for the feeble glow of her flashlight. Cobwebs clung to the corners, and forgotten relics from years past lay strewn about. The closet door loomed in front of her, old and battered. It creaked open reluctantly, as if it hadn't been opened in a very long time. Emily's heart raced as she stepped inside. The closet was nothing like she had imagined. It was a room unto itself, filled with dusty old trunks, broken furniture, and faded paintings. But what truly caught her eye was a massive, ornate mirror that leaned against the back wall. It was unlike any mirror she had ever seen, with a gilded frame and intricate carvings of monstrous creatures. Curiosity piqued. Emily approached the mirror. Her own reflection stared back at her, wide-eyed and trembling. But as she gazed into the glass, her reflection began to change. It twisted and contorted, taking on a monstrous, nightmarish form. Emily gasped and stumbled back, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the mirror. The monstrous reflection reached out, its long, gnarled fingers stretching through the glass. It grasped her arm with a bone-chilling coldness. "Come with me," it whispered in a voice that seemed to seep into her very soul. Terrified, Emily yanked her arm away and sprinted out of the closet. She slammed the door shut and locked it, leaning against it to catch her breath. Her heart pounded in her chest, and the storm outside raged on. She thought she had escaped the mirror's grasp, but that night, the nightmares began. Horrifying visions of monstrous creatures and endless darkness plagued her sleep. Each night, she would awaken in a cold sweat, feeling as though something was watching her from the shadows. As the days turned into weeks, Emily's once bright eyes grew tired and hollow. Her parents noticed the change in her, but she couldn't bring herself to tell them about the mirror and the monstrous reflection that had haunted her. She felt trapped in a waking nightmare. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, Emily heard a faint whispering from the attic. It was a siren's call, drawing her back to the closet. She couldn't resist its pull. With trembling hands, she retrieved the key from its hiding place and ascended the attic stairs. The storm had returned, casting eerie shadows that danced along the walls. The closet door beckoned to her, and this time she couldn't resist its call. The door creaked open, revealing the dreaded mirror once more. Emily's reflection twisted and contorted, but this time, it reached out even further. The monstrous hand burst through the glass, its bony fingers inches from Emily's face. But before it could touch her, Emily mustered every ounce of courage she had left. With a fierce determination, she grabbed a nearby chair and smashed the mirror to pieces. Shards of glass flew through the air, and the monstrous reflection let out an anguished wail as it was sucked back into the broken glass. Emily fell to the ground, gasping for breath. The attic fell silent, and the storm outside began to subside. She knew she had freed herself from whatever malevolent force had haunted the mirror, but at a great cost. Her hands were bleeding from the shards of glass, and her heart ached from the terror she had endured. Her parents rushed to the attic when they heard the commotion, and when they saw the shattered mirror and their daughter's trembling form, they embraced her tightly, tears streaming down their faces. Emily finally told them the whole story, and they listened with grave expressions. In the days that followed, the attic closet was sealed shut, and the shattered mirror was buried deep in the earth, where no one would ever find it again. Emily's nightmares slowly faded, and her bright spirit began to return. But she would always bear the scars of her encounter with the mirror and the monstrous reflection that had tried to claim her. It was a reminder that curiosity could lead to darkness, but it was also a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of courage in the face of fear.